First Take. Did last night prove the Vikes are a bigger threat than Big D in the NFC? I'll tell you why you haven't seen the last of Antonio Brown in the NFL and why the Steel City could see football in January this season. Second hour, First Take now.
One day at a time, one game at a time. We've got a good opponent this week, and they deserve all of our attention, and we're going to give them that.
At the back of the end zone, Kyle Rudolph.
How about Randall Cobb? Cooper's magic feet did it again.
Dalvin Cook struts into the end zone. Incomplete. Eric Kendricks knocked it away. And the Minnesota Vikings come up with a big W.
Welcome back to First Take. We're coming to you live from above the Heineken River Deck at Pier 17. Big win by the Vikings last night in Dallas. Let's take a look at the current NFC playoff picture. The current division leaders, including the Cowboys, are in from the wild card teams coming from Seattle and Minnesota. Ryan Clark back here with us. Max, tell me this. Who's the bigger threat in the NFC? Is it the Vikes or the boys?
I still believe it's the Cowboys. And it's not like if you were to say who's the bigger threat to win more games, who's the bigger threat any given Sunday for the rest of this season, because of Dalvin Cook, who's so clearly their best player and the player upon which their entire offense is predicated, really, I would take the Vikings. But when you say bigger threat in the NFC really means who's a bigger threat once the playoffs start. And I just don't believe in Kirk Cousins. I know he's been good because of Dalvin Cook setting him up the rest of the game when Dalvin Cook gets going early. He really makes Kirk Cousins' life easier, and Cousins can be a 2-touchdown, no interceptions guy who wins good, tough games because of that. But when the playoffs start, I've seen enough in their histories from Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott to believe that Dak will make the clutch play and Kirk Cousins won't. And I am betting that once the playoffs start, that's the difference. I still say the Cowboys.
I'm going to go with the Vikings. And here's the reason why. I think Zimmer's a better coach than Jason Garrett. I think their defense, although maybe possibly not as talented as the Dallas Cowboys defense, plays with a level of steadiness that we haven't seen from Dallas. I think Dallas is more up and down. They rise to the occasion. Sometimes they do not. You can't pencil in as money what the Dallas Cowboys are going to do on both sides of the ball. That's problematic. I think what you see is what you get from Minnesota. Can you rely on Dalvin Cook? Yes, you can. Can you rely on Thielen and Diggs? Yes, you can. Can you rely on this defense, particularly with Zimmer spearheading it? Yes, you can. Are they going to be great and prolific? No. But are they going to be steady and good enough to be competitive enough to give themselves a chance, particularly if the home turf isn't, if you got to go through Minneapolis, even though it's a dome, I think they will. And so what I'm seeing from the Dallas Cowboys, like everybody's been seeing, I'm seeing an ultra-talented team that can't seem, it's like they can't get, remember what was the name from the movie Life with Martin?
Can't get right.
Can't get right.
Can't get right.
That's the Dallas Cowboys. Can't get right.
Could hit the ball 500 feet.
Exactly. He could hit the ball 500, but he can't get right. That's my problem with the Dallas Cowboys. And considering the way that they're up and down right now, keep in mind, they're now tied for the NFC East. Yeah. They no longer have the lead. They're tied with the Philadelphia Eagles. They had a 2-game lead, basically on the verge of going up 3 games if Philadelphia hadn't won that Thursday night matchup against Green Bay weeks ago. And that's what the
Eagles haven't exactly been setting the world on fire.
And they haven't been setting the world on fire. And yet here they sit, tied with the Dallas Cowboys atop the NFC East to the point where it is possible, since the road to prosperity is easier for the Eagles than it is for the Cowboys due to their schedule, it is entirely plausible that the Dallas Cowboys might not even make the playoffs. I look at Minnesota and I say they're more reliable.
Stephen A., this is a crazy question because it comes with an answer, right? You say, who's the bigger threat? You have to say the Vikings because I believe the Vikings are the steadier team. Now, you ask me, who would you be most scared to play if everything's clicking on every cylinder? It's the Cowboys.
Yeah.
If the Cowboys get into the playoffs, and if the Cowboys are playing at the top level in which they can play, if Jason Garrett and Kellen Moore and Rob Marinelli get these guys playing the way that they can when they're at their best, you'd rather play the Minnesota Vikings. Here's going to be the problem. the Cowboys might not make the playoffs. Before the season started, and we were saying that, and people were saying this team could win the Super Bowl, I said on this show, I believe the Cowboys are a 10-6 team, 11-5 team is their ceiling, because I just see too many inconsistencies. You know what they can be, but they're not that every day. And so with the Vikings, and you look at the remaining schedule, you see where their record is now. I expect that team to be steadier. I expect that team to be better coached. And I know that team can rely on Dalvin Cook. And now I watch the Dallas Cowboys, this team that gives their running back $90 million. They gave him $90 million because they said, you know what? This is a team that can win the championship. You rather have Dalvin Cook or Ezekiel Elliott last night? Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook helps in the passing
nowadays.
game. He was the leading receiver. Dalvin Cook has 183 yards on the night on 33 touches and a touchdown. Ezekiel Elliott, we couldn't find him. You get 2 rushes, right, deep in the red zone when you're coming down trying to win the game, and then they throw the pass to you in which Eric Kendricks breaks up. That's not $90 million. And so you made a choice to give him this money. You made a choice to say Kellen Moore is going to be our offensive coordinator going forward. He's not being creative. He's not finding ways to score points. And so I think if this team plays at its best, you don't want to see the Cowboys in January clicking on all cylinders. The problem is the way that they're playing, the inconsistency that they play with, now tied with the Philadelphia Eagles team, who has all types of trouble. I think the Cowboys might be sitting home with us.
I hear you, and that would be an amazing result. But assuming the Cowboys, because of the weak NFC East, make it in, then we're seeing it the same way. The Cowboys also have a quarterback who I've seen under pressure as a first-year starter. You know, Aaron Rodgers jumps out to a big lead. They lost the game only because after coming back on the Packers, Rodgers made this absurd miracle throw. When I look at the trouble in the second level of the defense, and we had Orlovsky on earlier to talk about why it is when you look at the linebacking core, they're given those problems. Well, they use their youth and their aggression against them. But what that also tells me is they're capable, as you mentioned, Ryan, of playing at a much higher level. When you see Van Der Esch and Jalen Smith, that should not be part of the problem. And I do think if and when they make the playoffs, when you look at I'm talking about 1 through 22, the Cowboys might be the most talented team in football. And Jason Garrett might stop them from winning the Super Bowl, but not winning from winning a playoff game or two. They just have too much talent.
Well, first of all, I don't know if you're in any kind of position to say that when the man only has a playoff game victory or 2 on his entire resume, spanning years. That's number one. Number two, when you look at the Dallas Cowboys, we religiously and repeatedly say the same damn thing about them. It's very, very rare we've questioned their talent. It's whether or not they can get it done when it counts. I would remind everybody that his first 3 full seasons on the job, Jason Garrett went 8-8. And the last game of each season, it was a division crown on the line. It's be one thing if you lost to the same team. Oh, they just got your number. Oh, no. He lost to each team in the division. 1 year the Giants, another year the Redskins, another year the Eagles. On the last game of the regular season. Who does that? Usually there's somebody is your kryptonite. Oh, no. For Jason Garrett, it's the entire damn division. And so when you look at it from that perspective, I don't think you can ignore the fact that when you look at the Cowboys right now, particularly when we see, for last night, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, there were questions about the way Jalen Smith, Leighton Van Der Esch, Sean Lee were playing. We have been praising these guys beyond about what monsters they are. Yeah. Last night, they were vulnerable. Why? Because Dalvin Cook is coming out of the backfield being targeted and catching every pass. When Thielen was out, if Thielen wasn't there, if Thielen was there, that would be different. But with Thielen out and only Diggs to worry about, with Kyle Rudolph, by the way, and then you lose that, what's up?
Why is that, Ryan? When you look at the names, like forget about the linebacking core where you have 2 guys in their primes, even the names up front, the name brands up front who can still play. Why are they getting gashed?
Listen, it's about coaching. It's about being sound. And sometimes when you get into this and you become a star, you become one of those big names, then you're the guy that's trying to make a play. Every play isn't made for you. When we were our best in Pittsburgh, we had guys like Aaron Smith, Casey Hampton, Brett Kiesel, who knew that first and foremost, your job needed to be done. And so you can add as many names as you want. If these dudes aren't disciplined in the right place and and doing the things that they're supposed to do, other people can't play off of that and make plays. And right now, the Dallas Cowboys seems like a team of individuals, not a collective team with chemistry that is trying to accomplish one goal, and that's to win a game.
Cowboys 1-4 versus teams outside of their
guys,
division.
and before I go, Stephen A., you took a big loss on Saturday, but I want to say congratulations, brother, because you are winning. Well deserved. I hope you're here for many more years after that contract is up. Really appreciate all you do, bro.
Thank you, my man. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Rye. The Panthers lose a heartbreaker at snowy Lambeau, but did this prove Carolina is lost?